time since we've left school. So I think that'll be a fun spread of experience there. Let's go ahead and introduce everybody. Boop. So Andrea's not here. So if you guys, go ahead, Pete.
My name is Peter Wozlewski. I'm a senior artist over at Aristocrat. I do slot gaming. I originally started off in mobile stuff. We actually worked with NASA, Microsoft, Disney, and a few other big companies, but decided I wanted to move to Austin, and that's how I got ended up at Aristocrat.
I'm Doug Burton. I think I've been out of school about 12 years now. Right now I'm at Scientific Games, also slot machine gaming. Done other like console games, mobile games, kind of the whole gamut. Right now I'm in programming. Started off in design.
Oh, what school did you guys go to, and what programs?
Oh, yeah. I went to Full Sail for their game development.
Savannah College of Art and Design, and I did animation and film.
Cool. Will?
Hey guys, I'm Will Hyde, so I'm the supervising producer of live action at Rooster Teeth. Yeah, I run the whole live action department for most of our content, like Immersion, $1 Million Butt, things like that. And I went to Full Sail in Orlando for film, and I graduated in 2004.
So we got 3 Full Sail folks up here. Yep. Uh-oh, here she comes. So I'm Brian Riley. I'm an associate producer over at Rooster Teeth Games. I also went to Full Sail for digital art design. And then... You are not late. And then there's a master's program for game production, and that's what I do currently over at Rooster Teeth Games. Andrea.
Oh.
What you do?
Hi, I've always been here. My name's Andrea Caproti. I am a 3D animator at Rooster Teeth. I was the lead 3D animator for Ruby Chibi Season 1, and I worked on Red vs. Blue 13, Ruby 3, Ruby 4, Chibi 1 and 2. And I graduated from Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida. I also ran here. It's really far. I graduated in 2014. Before that, I had an internship at Cartoon Network, working on Cartoon Network games in Atlanta, Georgia. Also on the at CNN, because Turner just likes to give her interns like to do anything. Nancy Grace is mean. Let's see. Yeah, that's basically it. I've been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years. I came to Austin to work on a little game called Recore from Armature Studios. I got laid off, but now I'm at RT.
Awesome. So we'll just go ahead and dive into this, but as a reminder, we have this hashtag RTX book. We'll be checking it throughout because I want this to be more about questions and answers, so if you guys want to check on your phone for that.
Okay.
It's on the screen. But we'll go ahead and dive into it. Feel free to take whatever question you want. But we'll talk about the pros and cons of attending these sort of very focused, creativity-based schools. If you, I don't know, how'd that go for you? Pete?
I actually said it went well for me. I managed to get into SCAD around 2005, which was kind of right as to when it was starting to become a really big school. So when I first started going there, it was about 18 grand a year, and I think when I left it was 24, which was relatively doable. I'm still paying off some of that debt, but anyways, now it's up to something like 38 or 39. So I don't know if I would have gone to that school now, but I actually managed to get into a good bubble. I do think it was absolutely worth it for me, mostly because I decided that I wanted to go into animation, and I did not actually animate before then. I was actually an illustrator. I did life drawing. I did black and whites. I did, whatever basically my art teacher decided to throw at me. Some photography every now and again. But I really knew that I wanted to get into games specifically, and that was a good vessel. I happened to kind of stumbled into illustration as kind of being my forte, even though animation was my degree focus, but all of my professors were really supportive of that, and having that kind of a base of knowledge where, for example, some of my professors were senior effects artists for Lion King, for Mulan, for Aladdin, so all of them were really integrated with good quality art, and that gave them a lot of credence when they actually told me to oh yeah, sure, this is the degree program is really just to get you that stamp of approval. That when somebody goes to look at your resume and they don't see a degree there, that always raises a question. But beyond that, nobody really cares what your degree was for. It actually is how you apply the knowledge and what you learned in your times in school that really goes a long way. So I'd say it was worth it, but I don't necessarily know I would go for animation again.
Spoilers, that's the end question. Okay. Did you know about your teachers and their curriculum beforehand?
Yeah, I went down and met a bunch of them actually. SCAD is unique in the way that it requires that their teachers actually recruit students. So that was interesting. So they were very forthcoming about all their experience. Like, no, come here, because that actually affects my quota, so I won't actually get yelled at by the dean.
I kind of have a similar answer. Sorry, it worked out really well for me. I mean, I went to Ringling College of Art and Design, which is a private college, so I had to take a lot of loans that I'm still paying off. But the reason why I would say that it was worth it for me was because thanks to being a Ringling College graduate, the people who were hiring me were actually alumni. So when they saw that I was from Ringling College, they were like, oh, I know the kind of like skills that this person has to actually pass the college, because it was a really competitive program. I studied computer animation. They would extend the opportunity to me over like some other candidates. It's a very expensive way to be able to be picked as a favorite. But even my Cartoon Network internship, like the general manager, the art director at the Cartoon Network Game Studio was an alumni. So thanks for my having gone to that college and kind of gone to a very niche. I studied art. I don't know how to pronounce words, but it really did help me kind of like step up and like with that little community of very successful people, just like try and push myself in there, even though I didn't have any experience behind me.
Yeah, for me, I guess, that's the biggest pro was like, it gives you that easy foot in the door. Like, they see that school and that degree on your resume, and it's already you go to the top of the pile. So that was definitely the biggest pro. Biggest con, I would say, you miss out on a lot of the usual college life stuff. Like, there's no dances, there's no sports teams. Yeah, there's no fraternity.
We had a Quidditch team.
Yeah, that's cool. That was before me.
Hacky sack team.
Oh, so you missed out on all that. So it's all school. Most people you meet are people just in your program, so you don't get a lot of cross-play of meeting other people, especially at Full Sail. Full Sail is like you only see your classmates almost all the time. So that's kind of the biggest con. But yeah, the biggest pro is definitely get your foot in the door, get you top of the list. So I think that's the biggest reason to go for it.
Cool. So I went to Full Sail. It was about 13 years ago now. I'll start with the cons. I mean, the biggest con is definitely student loan debt. I think that's an easy one everyone be aware of. So just know that going in if you're going to do that. We'll be paying those for a while. But definitely the cons of like the traditional university experience of sports teams and all that. Yeah. But then also, I mean, my biggest thing too on that side would be the schools. They'll pitch you on a lot of stuff of helping you after you graduate. Of like the career path, I forget what their titles are. Career counselors and stuff like that. They are very nice and they'll do whatever they can, but particularly in this industry, don't expect a lot there. You need to get out and find your own work and really kind of make your own way. It really is, and I'm only speaking about film here. I can't really speak about gaming and stuff, but every job I found right after school I did on my own. School did not help me do that, so I'm very thankful that I got my degree and did all that. But pros about the school, I was a movie fan growing up and just kind of always wanted to jump into it. But I was actually in college for a year as an architecture major, quit, and when I met someone in the film industry and told me about Full Sail, decided to go. Parents didn't love that at the time, but quit architecture school, went to film school. It's worked out. So I ended up doing that. So I had a connection in the business, which actually got me my first job. But ever since then, I've been doing this for 13 years. I've never been asked what my degree is and what school I went to. So every job is just kind of like led to the next one. So just something to think about.
I think one of the biggest pros for me is like I have met all these great people and growing that network. It's really, I think getting these sort of jobs is really all about networking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, also being good at what you do helps, but it's a huge networking thing. Like I actually met Peter because I was here, the studio I was at closed down, and my roommate at Full Sail was like one of my best buds, worked with this guy. So they put my name in for an interview. I applied, so they got me the interview, but like my experience got me the job. But it was in 4 feet of snow in Massachusetts, so I moved back real quick. has nothing to do with school.
Yeah, to that, I wanted to add that, yeah, my first job was a similar thing. Like, someone came to the school to recruiting while we were graduating, and I didn't get that position, but one of my friends got hired, and then once he got in there, he was like, oh yeah, this guy Doug is awesome. So then they came back and were like, hey, we want to interview you for a different position, and so I got that one. And ever since then, all my jobs have been like, people I know are like, hey, I know a guy, I know a guy, I know a guy. So yeah, that's also a huge thing. It's like you have advocates everywhere once you kind of graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah. At RT Games, I mean, we're a team of 8 people, really small team. One of our 2 lead engineers went to SMU. When we were looking for another kind of an associate engineer, I guess that's what you call them, they looked at SMU because they knew the schooling that they went through and they knew the program. And we actually have 3 people on our team of 8 from SMU, kind of because of that. But I agree with them. One of the biggest cons is the student loans, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's the real thing, and it's would maybe even going back would maybe make me rethink it. But also, there's just things I got at those schools, or I only went to one, but that I don't think you can really get at other schools.
Yeah.
Or because everyone in your class, like Doug was saying, I had 30 to 40 people. Every month we went class to class to class. You don't like pick out classes like a normal school. So you really grow those bonds. So like when you are out in the field, they're like, oh yeah, Brian's an okay guy. We'll hire him, I guess. Or, yeah.
Something that statistic actually was that I heard recently that there's, I think it's like 60 or 70% of the jobs that are out there, especially in gaming, actually aren't posted on Monster or LinkedIn or those things. It takes a long time for it to get to that point. Even with our hiring over at Aristocrat, like, it probably spends 2-3 months where we're finding the job description, what we're going to post about, but everyone's exhausting all of their contacts. I mean, there's bonuses for headhunting for within a company. If you promote somebody to, that gets hired for 6 months, I think they give us like a $2,000 or $3,000 bonus. So they exhaust all of those facets first. They want people to vouch for the other people that they hire because you want to work with your friends. You want to work with people that you trust. You want to work with people you like, not necessarily people that you just randomly pulled over from Louisiana that graduated 10 years ago. You have no idea what that person's going to be like in 6 months. So.
Yeah, I can say that like I got my job at Rooster Teeth because I was at a bar with some other animators. I had just gotten laid off, and then I just became friends with some people. And then the next day, one of them got offered a job, like an interview for RVB 13, and they were like, "No, I don't really want to do it. Here's this chick I met yesterday, though. Like, here's her resume." And then I got in, and because of that, like, it's very important to just like, don't be fake about it, but like, if you meet other people who are in the same industry as you, just like be nice, be like genuine, and like share each other's like passions with one another. Just don't be mean, because I remember people who are nice to me, but I remember people who are mean to me even more, and I won't give them the opportunity to put my resume forward.
Yeah, just always develop those relationships, and when you get the opportunity, just take advantage of it.
Yeah, pass it forward. Yeah. There's like 4 or 5 girls in the animation studio when we were hiring for Ruby 3, but I was just like, oh, these girls are nice. And now there's like more girls and guys in the animation industry here in Rooster Teeth.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but the next slide is about how did you kind of land your first gig?
Yeah.
I think, Will, yours is kind of awesome.
This is super funny.
So jumping off my story of being in architecture school and meeting someone and eventually going to Full Sail, because that's where he went. So he was a freelance production coordinator based out of Atlanta. And so he did a few movies at the time there that were like mostly in the Southeast. And then when I was getting ready to graduate, I kept in touch with him, and he was in. Around that time, I was getting spring break, so Full Sail was just a 1-year program at the time. And then and I hit him up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm filming this TV pilot out in Hawaii," and this is in 2004. So and I was like, "Oh cool." I was like, "Can I come out there during my spring break? Can I like be on set and just kind of get that on my resume before I move to LA?" And he was like, "Sure." And then so did that for a week, went out there, then came back, graduated, and then in that time the TV show got picked up. And so then I was going to move out to LA, and he's like, "Well, actually, there's some PA opportunities out here if you want to like get out there." So he sold his house, moved out to Honolulu, and so that show was Lost on ABC. So worked out well for that to be my first job. And so yeah, so I got to be a set PA and in the office on Lost out on the plane wreck set and everything, and some of the highlights there, which were quite interesting. In PA work, if you are going to go the film route, got to do some definitely some tough jobs. Had to one time we're supposed to be on a deserted island. So we're out there filming on the beach, and there's surfers out in the water. So I had to go pay them to leave for the day. That was one thing. Yep.
You're telling me it's fake? No way.
Yeah, can't have surfers in your shot on a deserted island. But yeah, one time got stuck in the jungle for like 10 hours with a radio, and they told me just to sit there and just communicate with the set and things like that. So yeah, it was definitely a good first experience. Definitely broke me in. But yeah, that's how I got started. And then after that, moved back to LA after the first season, and then I got my first job there not because I went to Full Sail, but because my eventual boss was a fan of the show Lost, and saw that on my resume. She's like, "You just moved back here from Hawaii? You're hired." So, and then I worked at that company for 6 years and became a producer. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, my first job, I didn't get the first interview. My friend did, and then he kind of put in my name. But I remember I went to work at Target in like the back room for like a month, and then when I got the interview, it was here in Austin, and I went in to like say, hey, I gotta go to an interview, so I won't be in like next week. Instead, I was like, you know what, I'm just not coming back. I quit. And they were like, well, cool, thanks for telling us. People just usually stop coming. And I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, I was just like dead set, like if I get this job or not, either way, I'm gonna find something in games. So luckily, I got the job. And then the interview went pretty smooth. Video game interviews are really about can we just work with you every day, and like do we like talking to you, like hanging out with you, because we figure we can teach anyone the tools. You come in, we'll teach you how to use Unreal or Unity or whatever, but can we actually talk to you and teach you and hang out with you was the biggest concern. So the interview was fun, and I got the job on the flight out, so that was good.
I actually got my first job over at a company called HitPoint up in Western Mass through my actual college buddies. I moved back from Savannah to Boston, and then was kind of settling down and just kind of chilling out for a summer after pretty much burning out trying to get my thesis done. And I was working on my website, getting my resume and demo reel together, and then one of my college buddies was like, yeah, I'm working at this company out in Western Mass, and they need a background artist. Would you be interested? And I was like, sure. So I only applied to the one company and actually got my first job, and I was there for 7 years.
Such a struggle.
It was so difficult. It was the worst.
What was the time like between graduation and job?
3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
I think I talked about it earlier, but I mean, my first job in the industry was the internship at Cartoon Network Games in Atlanta, Georgia. That they sent, what was it? They sent out an email blast to everyone that was in my year, because we have internships, like we're supposed to do them between our junior and senior year, like during that summer. Summer vacations, I think I really miss. And so they sent out an email blast, and like for some reason, like no one wanted to go to Atlanta, but like I'm from Puerto Rico, I'll go anywhere, like I don't care. So I sent they sent the email blast out to everyone that was in my year in my school, and then I replied, and then the guy was like, "Oh, hey, you're the only person that applied."
I will say that does help.
Yeah, that does help a lot.
Applying places that are like not a cool city yet.
Yeah.
Like I got to Austin right before it was like really cool, and there was like two game companies.
I worked I worked at Moonbot Studios for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so on like a really fast thing. But that's in Shreveport, Louisiana. Like no one wanted to go there.
That works.
Either. Sorry if you're from there. But yeah. It really helps to be the only person to apply to the job.
So, I moved here. I got a job over at Disney Junction Point Studios. First game I worked on was Epic Mickey 2.
Yeah, I have a few friends who work there too.
It's a huge blockbuster. It's already on sale for like $5.
It's a good game though.
But I was interviewed by 3 people, and I went in. It's the game industry. Like I'm overdressed right now, kind of.
Yeah.
But I went in. I had like khakis on, button-down shirt tucked in. And the first 2 guys thought I was too stiff, which is, I think I'm kind of a goofy dude sometimes. And the third person said they already asked all the questions I have, what are you playing? And then I just kind of like, let my hair down figuratively. Yeah. And we talked about games. And they're like, oh, all he was doing was, are you someone we can work with? Because you might be working like 80 hours a week. Might have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. So it's really like personality fit.
Yeah.
Just like Doug was saying.
I had a similar experience when I was interviewing for Rooster Teeth here. Like I had a meeting with like Joel, Dustin, the 2 lead animators for RBB 13, and then Cohen, and they were just like, all right, where'd you go to school? Like, where do you live? This and that. Like where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like the really stereotypical ones. And then Dustin was like, so what kind of anime do you watch? Because I hadn't gotten my like anime tattoos yet, but I had like a little like papu fruit thing in my hair, and then we just talked for like 2 hours, and I got the job on the spot.
I think,
Sleeping Gurren Lagann or whatever.
Like having the schooling does kind of like let you skip a few questions.
Yeah,
The
basically.
basics you don't need to know anymore. Like,
Yeah.
Definitely pro tip: dress for the job.
Yeah, dress for the job. Put your anime shit on your
Come in
hair.
a suit. I've had a couple people.
Oh my
who just come in
God,
a
yeah.
suit. You're just like, I'm like, seriously, dude. Like, I wear jeans every day.
I was that close to my first interview wearing a suit.
My mom told me to wear a tie. I did not wear a tie.
You
To
can
be
wear a
fair-
tight shirt. You know, those
Doesn't
like
someone on animation wear a suit? When he first got hired, he wore a suit like every day.
Oh, Jill. I think it was Jill. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he's
like-
a fancy boy.
Yeah, but he's like a swing dancer and stuff.
Yeah, he's a swing dancer. Like he's dressing for his life. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
yeah.
He doesn't do it anymore though. I don't know what happened.
Probably a better way of saying it: dress for you. Like,
Yeah.
dress,
Yeah.
dress who is your personality.
Yeah.
But like, if you're gonna put on a suit and you clearly haven't worn one in like 10 years, it's pretty obvious and it comes off really awkward.
Yeah.
Another question. We'll just kind of touch on all these questions throughout every answer. But what are some things that you've kind of learned in the field that just school couldn't have taught you?
I got one. This was actually kind of my soapbox. Contract negotiation.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Nobody in school teaches you that, but you absolutely need to know
my
it.
God.
You need to know what work for hire means. You need to know what the rights are to your work. You need to know how long the contract's going to go for, if they're going to pay for your expenses in terms of what software required for it, and all that stuff is very billable, and it's all standard practice. But nobody coming out of school knows how to negotiate contracts.
I had I learned how to do it in school, but it's because I minored in business of art and design.
Cheater.
So like I know exactly, I'm a cheater. But like even in high school, like I think high schools should like teach you how to do your taxes and like vacuum and shit, you know? Because sometimes like I was working at like Starbucks or something, and like there was like a high schooler, and I was like, hey, you need to vacuum the floor. And he's like, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, you're 16 years old. I mean, just learn how to do basic skills and then learn how to do art, I guess. That was my tiny soapbox.
For me, I mean, learned a lot in film school, but then learned probably a lot more even out of it. I mean, just over the years and just trying different things. I mean, the biggest things that probably I've learned are just the intricacies of the film business. I mean, they can teach you how to pick up a camera, what a frame rate is, how to edit and all that stuff. But when you get out there and, you know, what you don't learn, well, you know, somebody mentioned contracts, you know, dealing with agents, actors. I mean, there's so many layers to it of things that you'll just never learn, like in film school, of all the things of licensing things or whatever it may be. But like as a producer can mean like 20 different things. There's so many different types of those jobs, but in every single one I've learned different things. You know, I spent a good portion of my career also doing visual effects producing, and I never learned that. I remember I got hired at a company to grow, when I was doing commercials, to grow their live action department to do more like actual live action commercials. And I get there, they're like, oh, so we just landed 3 photoreal CG commercials, so learn how to do visual effects. So I got a crash course on that. And so I mean, I learned that stuff in like 3 months, which was pretty crazy, doing all that. But yeah, I mean, I think at least for me, one of the most fun things about this industry is everything is different. Every single job you go into, you're always going to learn something new.
Yeah. Likewise. Sorry. Likewise.
The thing I've learned is there's like mistakes you're gonna make that you can't know until you do them. You know, the unknown unknowns. I recall one day I came into work. I'd been working there maybe like 6 months at that point, and I went to like update all of our files, and instead of clicking update, the line right below it is just checkout, which means it's like that means like I lock all. Yeah, it was perfect.
Oh no!
So I lock all the files. Like Doug is working on this file, so I checked out the entire like game repo, and I didn't realize it. I was like, this update's taking a long time.
And then you went to lunch.
A guy came over, he's like, hey, why are you in this animation file? And I was like, am I? And I was like, oh, I'm in every file. So luckily it was like 8:30 a.m. so I could like undo do it before anyone really saw it. But yeah, there's a lot of mistakes you're gonna make, things you're gonna learn. You're gonna do them wrong, and then someone's gonna tell you, "I did that wrong last year. Did this how you do it faster, better." And that's the best thing you get with experience. You just learn how not to do things and how to do it the right way the first time.
Yeah, to jump off that real quick, just so you guys, I mean, this will be key for you guys if you guys are just starting out the business. It's okay to make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
It really is okay. But and when I hire people, when I was younger, like the approach that I wish someone had told me this, one, it's okay to make mistakes, but then own up to them.
Yeah.
Own up to them and don't ever make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. Learn from it every time.
Yeah, learn from it. Your employers will appreciate that. I appreciate that when I have people working for me. It's okay. Like, you're going to make a mistake. Trust me, I've made some big mistakes as well. And yeah, as long as, and there was a point when actually that same job, when I was doing visual effects, I would make a list of every mistake I made every time we were going through, and would never make the same one again. And then that's how you just continue to learn from it. So,
yeah.
But always own up to it, because don't ever try to hide it, blame it on somebody else, things like that. That will work out for you much better in the long run.
It's usually funny afterward. After you fix it, it's funny.
Yeah, like in 2 years.
So, two things I did not even, like, how could you know? Because the way school is taught is, here's the thing, learn that thing, do the next thing. Is multitasking. Because right now, I'm sure you do as a producer as well, Will. There's just like 50 things going on at once. And you might have to like just push this ball forward, really focus on this one, make sure this person's talking to that person. But like, that's my entire day, every day. I don't think I knew that kind of getting into it, which is fine because I love it. But also mixed in with that is just the soft skills part of life. Work, yeah, like
working in a studio. And
working in a studio, like, oh, so-and-so is like, they don't like this sort of feedback. I get that one a lot, actually. Yeah. Just kind of knowing how people are. Like, it's not, we don't go to school for psychology, but you kind of got to know some of that stuff.
It's like some folks like meetings, some people like emails, IMs.
Yeah, like how people communicate. Mm-hmm. Like, just kind of picking up on that is super helpful.
It's the same with, that's what I was going to talk about, is working in a studio. No one really tells you how to work as like a team in college, I think. Mm-hmm. Unless you have like really big, like actual like year-long group projects in your industry. Like, some people that we hire, like contractors, like don't really understand how to like get feedback and how like the feedback loop works in like the studio and stuff. So they'll basically be waiting for someone to come over and tell them what to do. It's different for every studio, and so it's something that like you kind of have to learn as you're doing it. But it's like no one ever talked to me about that when I was in college. So
I got another one I want to tack on this real quick. Social skills.
Yeah.
A lot of us are really intrinsic and like to hide and read books and watch TV in our rooms and such. And that's probably more of my personality anyways, but you actively have to make the effort to go out and hang out with people after work. And that helps to forge a lot of relationships. But I mean, if you're going to go and ask something the next day and be like, oh yeah, like I need this thing right now and I know it's going to cause you, a lot of grief and headache, they're more likely to do that for you and help you out if they like you. But if you're just going to sit there and work in your little cubicle all day long and not talk to anyone and not hang out and not even joke around for even 10 minutes just because you really want to be so good at production, you really want to do the best job you possibly can do, nobody's going to do favors for you. Nobody's going to help you out. That's something you have to actively work at. All
of us had the story of we got our first gig or one of our first ones because of the network.
Yep.
So it's like, that's so huge, the social skills for sure. Which will lead to the two biggest takeaways. What do you guys think is like the two biggest points you would want to pass on? This is kind of over after that, and then we'll do a bunch of questions.
So many points.
My two biggest ones, I'm pretty sure everybody's like, it's a creative field. So you have things you could be working on, could be making, always be making stuff. Because like if you graduate, person A and person B graduate, but person B worked on some stuff just to show that they know how to apply the things they learned in school, I would rather look at that person, honestly. And be nice. It's so simple, but just being nice and being personable and social. Those are like the two biggest things. Those are the teammates I want.
I'd have to say, at the very least, just do it. Like, I've heard that a lot recently, and it's kind of a personal mantra I'm trying to take on, is to don't be afraid just to do a side project, to test something out, make a free run, or try and ship it. Like, don't make the most perfect product you possibly can, just get it out there. It's like you'll get feedback, you can iterate on it. Nobody's going to tank something just because it was like one glitch in one game. It's just start doing stuff. It's better to see in your portfolio or your resume that, yeah, so I wasn't working for 3 months, but I wasn't sitting out in my back porch and drinking beer, which I might have been doing. But I was actually working on side projects. I was working on my portfolio. I was doing another short film. I was trying to do a sequel to my thesis. You know, those are all things that I talked about in my interview, and I think that's part of the reason why I got the job. I'm actually not sure about a second
Sequel
one.
to thesis? Mm-hmm. That's
don't
you
do
chose that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I really like the characters I did.
I mean,
I think, yeah, same thing. Definitely be nice. I think my last job, the HR lady kept telling the CEO how much she liked me because she was like, oh my God, his emails were just so nice. And even when I asked for more money, she's like, he was just so friendly about it. And I was like, oh, well, cool. I guess that helped me get a little more money. And also, yeah, keep working on stuff. You're going to get a lot of great stories out of like doing your own personal projects. When you're doing interviews, they're going to ask what you've been working on. And if you have like, oh yeah, a passion project you've been working on, they're going to want to talk to you about that because that's when you're going to like open up and tell some really good stories and really be yourself and show some of your faults, show some of your skills and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think those two, like be nice, don't burn any bridges. You know, you're going to see the same people over and over and over in the industry. Yeah, those two things I can think of.
So first for me is definitely be aware that you will be working some long hours. There's no such thing as 40 hours a week in this business. So get used to that. And, you know, if you do want to continue to grow and get to the next level, you're going to have to give up some personal commitments and things like that. I've had to give up vacations or friends things and all this stuff just to got to stay at the office late, get whatever it is done. So just be aware of that going in. But if it's something you're passionate about, trust me, it all works out and it's fine. The second thing is just be aware that there's definitely always going to be some ups and downs. And if it's something you're passionate about, like everyone has a different path. Don't compare yourself to others. You will have friends in the business that are doing much better than you. You'll have friends that are doing not so great as you. So just be aware that, you know, everyone's got a different path. There was a point in my career where I actually thought about quitting this and going and doing something else. So I'm very glad that I didn't do that, but just be aware that you're going to have some ups and downs.
I think my two takeaways. The first one is don't feel like you've gotten to a point where you don't need to keep going and learning. I phrase that really weird, but basically it's like you're going to be working every single day of your life basically on this, and sometimes you kind of have to go back to basics. Like sometimes if I'm feeling a little rusty on something, if I'm animating like just facial stuff, I'll go and I'll like do a walk cycle so that like I understand if I can still animate a walk cycle and stuff. You really need to be good at the basics before you actually start putting your own style into it, if that makes sense. It's kind of the same reason why art school makes you like take a million drawing classes, even if you're just going to be like doing film stuff. They made us do that. And then the second one is, based on that, don't let it affect your ego. Like don't make yourself feel like you're better than anyone else, because everyone's in this the same way. Some people might be your superiors, it might be your leads, it might be your managers, but at the end of the day, like we're all working to create the same end product, and we want it to be as good as we can. So don't let the fact that someone gave you a critique and you don't agree with it, so you're not just going to do it, that's going to impact everything else that's going to happen in that pipeline. So just don't be a dick, basically. So that's it.
Always good advice. So I only had the one earlier, but I would say there's another thing too that a lot of people coming out of school don't necessarily take into consideration, which is to put some thought into where you want to go. You know, do you want to be a business owner 50 years? Do you want to start your own studio? Do you want to just be a production artist? Do you want to be a middle management lead? I mean, all of those are roles that I've seen people make their decisions early on. One of probably my best mentors is a guy who has worked on tons of games, but he just wants to be an art lead. He doesn't want to go art direction. He doesn't want to go the tier above that. And I think that's really important to consider, because I wanted to be an art director right out of school. That was the one thing that I really wanted to do. And I learned a lot about how that influenced a lot of my small decisions. You know, I was like, okay, you know, I'm doing production art for now, I'm doing background art, but I want to be a lead, I want to do this, I want to do that next. Like, this is where I see myself in 10, 15 years. And it really does inform on a granular level how I even answered questions. Even when I went to interview or talk to people about it, I was like, yeah, no, I see myself doing art direction in 10 years. I see myself, you know, guiding the process, not maybe necessarily doing grunt labor every single day and, you know, making a plant or drawing a new picture or drawing concepts. But I think it's important to consider.
So that's kind of the main portion over here. So he's kind of, these are all like individual stories, right? So I've seen a lot of questions in the Twitter hashtag situation, and a lot of them are, you know, would you do an internship? What sort of internships are good? And I think, Will, you're the only one that did one, right?
Yeah, technically, yes. I did that 1 week of an internship, but
I did one too.
I didn't listen to you guys.
It's okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of questions on the internships. Was school worth it? Is always a good question.
I'll start off with internships.
Okay.
I'll take that one. So I actually did 2 internships. My first one happened to be with E3, the actual convention. Turns out they were based in Natick, Massachusetts, like 2 feet from my house, and one of my neighbors happened to know their CEO. So I was like, okay. I was like, they don't really know the CEO of E3. There's no freaking way. Lo and behold, we met him, and she's been running it for like 8 years at that point. But I did my first internship my sophomore year, and I actually think that was a really big help. Because a lot of people do their internships in their junior year and their senior year, but what you don't know is that by the time you get to your senior year, you're really going to be focusing on your thesis projects or really fine-tuning your portfolio to get a job. You don't really want to spend another summer working and learning how to get coffee and things like that. So I got that out of the way early, and that I think made a big difference for a lot of my interviews, especially because doing it in your sophomore year is not something you see on your resume very frequently. So it was absolutely valuable.
I did not do an internship. I think I tried to get an internship before I went to school, and no one even like answered back. They're just like, you don't know anything, so no. So that kind of made me end up going to school. I think more it was hard to get my foot in the door without the schooling.
I did an internship, and I think it really helped me learn how to work with a group of people. Like I said earlier, like this is working in a studio is something that they can't really teach you in school. But that being said, a lot of people in my year didn't do internships, and so they used that summer instead to like create assets and get ahead of our final year project, which is our film. Like during our senior year, we create like a 2-minute film, like by ourselves or in a group. So at the end of the day, like I got the internship, and I feel like it helped me a lot in my career path. But the people who didn't still use that time to make themselves into better artists. So just don't waste time.
Yeah, internships can be great. Rooster Teeth actually has a great internship program. There's lots of people that have started off as interns and are now full-time at Rooster Teeth that have even been there for years. But I think with any internship, go into it. Don't think you need to go into it like you're proving yourself and you're going to know everything and you're going to like get a job right away. Use it to learn, just network, meet people for down the road. Like you could be interning for someone, you don't get a job at that company, but 5 years later, once you have more experience, they're somewhere else and then they hire you. So just use it to kind of open up opportunities, meet people, and learn. You don't need to go in and prove yourself and all that stuff. Just listen to them and just take advantage of whatever opportunities that you're given.
There's a very specific question on the hashtag about schools in Texas or in Austin, other than UT, that are good for radio and television. Do you know anything like that? Will?
I think there's the Art Institute is one here that we had an intern last semester.
We have animation has a lot of Art Institute.
Yeah, and we have a few people in my department too that went to Texas State, things like that. Those are the only ones that I know of that I can.
ACC.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ACC. Yeah, we actually have a couple kids that went to ACC as well. So.
What about like online programs? Could you do something like that? Like I know like Full Sail has like online classes now.
Yeah, they have online classes for everything.
So I think that's also an option.
Yeah, totally.
It's not it's for animation, it's not film, but after I graduated I did a few courses on Animation Mentor and on iAnimate to kind of just like get better at animation. So just because you graduate also doesn't mean you have to stop learning. You should still take courses and still like work hard.
I would say even if you do stop learning, it's probably a big red flag. I mean, there's always a new tool set that's coming out. I just downloaded new art programs just like this past week. So,
if you guys want to come up here and ask questions that haven't been asked on Twitter, that'd be
just raise your hand.
Fine.
Raise your hand,
or,
like a class setting.
Here, let's start right here. Yeah. What do you got? Stand up. So we
Please.
Please.
Thank you.
Yeah. Digital animation student in Missouri, and I'm in almost my third year, and I'm just wondering, how do you start a portfolio? That's where I'm at right now, to start looking for internships.
Are you talking about a portfolio or a demo reel?
Probably both.
You should do both. Once.
I was like, both?
Yeah, one, you should do both. You're an animation student, right?
Yes, I am.
So in college, they told us to basically like always put your strongest work in your portfolio. Never put anything that you just like drew a little bit. Flat portfolios are important if you're going for like a 3D generalist, or you just want to be like, hey, I'm an animator, but also I'm very good at this. If you're not so positive or like so confident in your flat like illustration skill set, you don't have to really create a portfolio. I'll be really honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as your demo reel is good and it shows like your animation and like your breakdowns and everything, you understand the basics and you're also able to show something that puts you aside. I'm also an illustrator. I didn't study it, but like I like doing cartoons, like little drawings.
That's the fun
and
stuff, right there.
Yeah, it's the fun stuff. And I worked in the basically the portfolio review section of Ringling College. I had a part-time job there. So I didn't take any of your advice, obviously. And I created my demo reel and I was really confident in that. But then my portfolio was all like figure drawing. And then the end of it was just anime fan art that I did and I liked. Because I basically figured out that I wanted to work somewhere that would appreciate that kind of stuff. And like wouldn't have a problem with me wanting to draw big boobed anime girls. Because that's my brand. So
There you go.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just make sure that you put forward your best work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have other people review it too.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody has an opinion on art, so just give them the 12 pieces that you think are your favorite pieces, and then let everybody else pick out the top 6. It's like things like that. And also, don't stick everything on the one page. There's so many portfolios I've looked at that are like,
Oh my God.
35 to 50 pieces, and you're like, I've been doing art for 15, 20 years now. It's like looking at the first 4 or 5, you can probably have a good idea as to what their skill sets are. So just pick your 6 best.
Yeah.
I have a question about minors. Like, how do you choose a minor?
Okay.
Yeah, not like
Okay.
minors.
Okay. I met a person who worked at a mine yesterday too, and it's been very confusing this past
Oh my
weekend.
God. So yeah.
I mean, I think I'm one of the only people like in my group of friends who decided to do a minor. Mostly was because my mom wanted me to do it, but also it's because I started my business of art and design minor, and then I got really interested in it, so I just kept taking the classes. I don't think it's necessary, right?
No, I don't think so. I would say do minors for you. I'm actually I think I have only like 2 credits away from getting a minor in anthropology.
Anthropology?
Yeah.
Okay,
We had
cool.
to take electives, so
yeah.
so kind of put it towards one thing that was interesting.
Yeah.
But that's definitely informed a lot of my design decisions later on. But it's definitely not required in any status.
No.
I don't think anybody really even reads past it the first line on maybe your resume or asks questions about it. It's more do it for you. Do the thing that maybe you didn't know that when you got into college that you were actually excited by.
Yeah.
It turns out to be really interesting.
Thank you.
Someone else pick. I'm bad at pick.
Let's go back here. You in the back there. Yeah, I think.
We just want to make the Guardians run.
Yep. Trying to get everybody,
Yeah.
Trying to stretch it out.
Hi. So, my career counselor person said that what I should do is find people in positions and places on LinkedIn and talk to them because of the whole connections thing. But I feel like that would be really weird if a bunch of random kids messaged me on LinkedIn. So how do you guys feel about that?
Well, LinkedIn's definitely a very good tool, and as it's pretty much the new resume. I mean, everyone, if you're applying for a job, they're gonna look at your LinkedIn thing. Yeah. It's okay to reach out to recruiters and all that stuff, but learn what the right path is. We'll definitely have people that just bombard a lot of us at Rooster Teeth, and they'll just email every single person that they can get a hold of. That's the wrong approach.
Don't do that.
So yeah, don't do that. There's definitely a balance between being proactive and being aggressive. So you always want to find out if you reach out once or twice and come in with the proper channels. If you don't hear anything, that's okay. Just kind of let it lie. Just don't overdo it because then you'll burn a bridge.
Yeah.
But it is okay to kind of go out there and like Andrew did. Maybe you meet some people that work there and network and kind of things like that, and then kind of go the LinkedIn route and things like that. So yeah.
I know a lot. I have a lot of artist alley booths sometimes during the year. People will just come up and be like, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" And they'll ask me "Oh, I'm an animator Rooster Teeth." And they'll be like, "Can you review my portfolio?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, sure." And so they'll email it to me. It's not, as long as you be nice about it. Like you said, like don't email every single person. Don't email like Gray Haddock, be like, hey, look at my portfolio. But like, I speak for myself, but like I'm willing to help and I want to like see people succeed and like pass it forward, you know.
Yeah, there's this is maybe the third or fourth time I've done this panel, and PAX of 2015 or something. We talked to some folks in the hallway, and I still talk to them on email. Like, hey, how's classes going? As long as you just keep that communication going, I love talking to folks.
There's two people whose hands have been up forever.
Where you want to put them out?
Her. She's holding her hand up like this, and I'm like, I don't want you to keep doing that. What's up?
Thank you. I should probably could just yell.
No.
So I actually just graduated last May with new media and digital art. But my big question is, most of my stuff is artistic films. So I'm trying to figure out what should I do for my portfolio, because I'm about to start cutting YouTube videos of gameplays as well as like fun videos. Do you just composite all of that into a single file, or are there certain things that people would be looking for?
Are you looking for a film?
Yes, I'm actually looking to eventually have a good enough portfolio for the Rooster Teeth live action department, but I'm still trying to figure out what would actually be looking for.
Sure. I mean, so like, are you trying to write, direct? Or what exactly are you trying to accomplish?
I actually do film editing directly.
Editing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, editing is always an interesting, reel to put together. You always want to be able to showcase your skills, but then also to kind of put something that's just going to grab attention. Honestly, the most part of a demo reel of anyone, whether it's directing, editing, it's always really difficult to showcase everything that you can do in a reel. So it's more like a highlight, trying to like just grab attention, essentially, just same thing as like a resume. But something like that, honestly, just keep making stuff. So you're always going to keep learning, find people to collaborate with, and do a lot of stuff. I would suggest. I mean, having a reel is great, but then always keep updating it. Is I think one of the things that whenever I'm whether it's an editor or looking for someone, a visual effects artist or whatever, and I'll find their reel and it's like from 3 years ago, something like that. So if you're going to do those things, just always try and keep it up to date at the very least, like on a yearly basis. Yeah. Cool. Let's go this guy right here.
Yeah. So you, Douglas, you said
names up there.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
Yeah.
So you, Douglas, said you never got an internship during college, but tell me again, when did you land your first job?
Yeah, so I originally went to school in San Francisco Academy of Art, and so while I was there, I was there for about a year, and I was trying to get an internship, but I had more of an art-focused schooling going on, so everyone was like, no, we're looking more for designers or programmers. So I switched to then go to Full Sail, and so out of Full Sail was about a month after I graduated. I graduated in March of '06, and then I think I forget. Yeah, it was about a month after that I got the interview, and then a few weeks after that I flew out to Austin and got the job. So yeah, that's about the timetable.
So Rooster Teeth is your first job, right?
No, I'm not at Rooster Teeth. I'm at Scientific Games right now.
Oh.
My first job was at Midway Austin. They were doing what we're doing. We're doing like a first-person shooter and then like a GTA clone type of game. And then yeah, from there kind of hopped around, did some other console games, some Wii U games, PC, the whole gamut. Right. Yeah.
Cool. We got a guy on the far side here. He's had his hand up for a while.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Second, can you talk a little bit about your experiences with job security and job turnover in the field?
Oh, girl.
That is a useful thing to know.
This is why I drink.
Who
So
got
I feel
laid
like I
off?
probably have the most job turnover.
Who's gotten laid off on this panel?
I think I'm on like 4.
This guy
4
got out right
bankrupt
before
companies.
it happened, though.
Woo.
Right? So you put that hand up.
It's a thing. It's a thing in the industry, like our industry, even in games. I started when I first got to Austin. I was in a game studio, especially in games. But even so, in animation, there's not really that much job security in this area. That said, the jobs are good, and like it's just a thing like industry wide that.
And you're never going to work at the same company for your entire career.
No.
That just doesn't exist in this field. It's not
Nintendo.
It's not 50 years ago when you start working at one place and you get a pension and you're there for 40 years and then you retire. That just doesn't exist.
Unfortunately, that's the culture of it,
Yeah.
and it's really unfortunate, but
Yeah, but you know, I mean, because the business always changes very quickly, and so there's always companies going up and down. I mean, there's ones that always stick around. But for financial reasons of 2 different companies I've worked at, I'm just kind of going up and down. I've been laid off twice when I talked about ups and downs. But now I'm at I have the best job I've ever had in 13 years, and so I'm very thankful that I didn't give up on certain things. But you're definitely going to have a lot of ups and downs, and you'll even see it at the highest level. I mean, you see, huge film directors, they'll have a bunch of, really successful movies, and then you're only as good as your last one. When that one tanks and loses $100 million, and no one's going to hire you again. And so, but you might have to go make a smaller one to prove yourself again. So it happens on all levels of the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go if you have the blue shirt back there. Right.
It's you, yeah.
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks. So throughout the convention and for most of the time I've been watching this industry, a lot of the time you see people who have jobs that really don't fit their major. I've seen English majors who are now working as talent. I've seen people with news broadcast degrees who are now working in animation. And you touched on it a little bit, but I was wondering, is there anything more that you could say to sort of touch on how someone finds a job that's not within their degree necessarily?
It's not something you actually actively go out and try and solve that way. It's like in those instances, everyone's kind of fallen into it. Like my degree was in animation and film, but I ended up getting hired for background art, which wasn't something that was my program touched on at all. But it was something that I found out that I enjoyed, and I did relatively well. So it's really just pursue the things that you like doing. I mean, one of the benefits of as soon as you graduate school is that when people look at your resume, they're like, oh yeah, they finished a degree program. They took something from start all the way to finish. Probably cost them 120 grand, but they did it, so.
Yeah, definitely be open to just any opportunity you can get. I think when anyone's in film school, they want to move to LA and be a writer and a director, myself included. But I got there and, I just took whatever opportunities I had come my way, and then I found out I was very good at producing. I was organized and could lead a team and things like that. And so I just kind of stayed on that path and just made my own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of our lead engineer on our new project, his undergrad is theater. But he's our lead engineer now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Jeff went.
Yeah, Jeff.
He went to Ball State, and it was all theater. Then he kind of got into interactive stuff, kind of like theme park stuff, which is kind of like this weird middle ground. So he kind of taught himself some engineering, but then he went to USC, which he loves pointing out, for programming. And, I mean, now he's our lead engineer.
He was on this panel last year.
Man, he loves bringing it up this week.
Yep.
That is not here
That's
this time.
true.
I will say with that too is mostly like once you're in, you just start experiencing more stuff, and then you find things you like, and so like eventually you're on a team, and it's like, hey, who wants to take on this next thing or whatever, and you're like, oh, I kind of like that, so I'll do it, and then next thing you know, you're that guy who does that part of the team.
All right. So let's go to this lady here in the front. She's had her hand up for a long time.
Sorry.
Come on, Forrest, go on. Very quickly, on the internships, specifically for Rooster Teeth, is there like a time period that you usually do it for, and is it a paid or unpaid?
So the internships are all unpaid for university credit that we do specifically at Rooster Teeth, and then it is on a semester-by-semester basis. So we do a spring, summer, and a fall.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's done for college credit.
It's for college credit.
What if your college is Becca College in Massachusetts?
Yeah, we do interns from all over the country. Okay. So I currently have an intern, for example, from Northern Arizona University right now for the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we do him?
Where are those posted? Do you know? Full screen?
Yeah, so we've actually been fixing that process, but there'll be postings through roosterteeth.com and Full Screen are the two places to look.
Roosterteeth.com/careers.
Yeah, /careers. Yeah, it's on there, but it links to a Full Screen site now. Yeah, it's been changing, but yeah, we're refining that internship process, and yeah, because I think we've got like 20 or 30 interns for the summer for the whole company. So.
Green shirt.
Thank you. I'm doing an AA in animation, which is kind of generalized, so they teach us everything. My only problem is I'm trying to have a problem that's like narrowing it down, like of what to specialize in. So what can you tell me about that and for that one?
My Ringling College is kind of the same. It's called a computer animation bachelor's degree, but it is basically like a generalist one where they teach us how to model, how to rig, how to do like animatics and stuff. And then from that, people decide what part of the pipeline they like to do even more. and they can create their senior thesis based on that. I don't think you're learning too much is a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like if you know how to do basically a little bit of every single part of the pipeline, you can put yourself out as a generalist, which is something really important. I know on Chibi we were billed as animators, but like we do animatics and we do drawings so that we can actually get our timing done right. So just being able to do at least a little bit of everything is good. Just decide that just find out what it is that you like to do, and then just work hard on making that your work that you put forward in that specific part of the pipeline the best that you can do.
Thank you. I've heard for interviews that you're supposed to ask the interviewers questions, kind of show that you're interested and that you kind of want to, this is something you want to do. What's kind of a process you should go through when trying to think up questions before an interview?
Definitely be informed about the company. Like go in knowing about the job that you're trying to get, know a little bit about the people that you're interviewing with and the company itself. Just honestly, I can't give you any examples of specific questions, but just come up, just show interest in that you've done your research, and that will come off in a really good way.
Yeah, and you said basically the answer. It's like you have to say that you're like show that you're interested. Be interested in what the interview is telling you about the company. Like if you can bring in information that like, oh, they talked about a certain project that we're working on, ask more questions about that project. And if you're stumped, just be like, so how's your day going? You know, like just make it not seem awkward. Just be like genuine about it.
I actually really enjoy being asked like, what's our team culture like? You know, that's a really important thing. If your cultural fit for the team is also just as important as if your skill sets fit the team. So I would definitely take that into consideration. You know, if you're going to work for a company that's offering you a job, but they have a high turnover rate of like 3-4 months, it's like, do you really want to work there? It's like, do you really want to have that go through that process of they might fire you in 3 months just because they're you're not buddies?
Yeah,
that's important.
I think a good question too is kind of asking like, what's your process? Like, so like, oh, every morning we have daily meetings, and then once a week we have one-on-one team meetings, and that kind of thing. So you can learn about their process, and then just learn more in general about like all different ways there are to run a team.
Something back. Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. I like the one on Twitter about how to network if you're not,
Hey.
I was wondering, how do you make your portfolio stand out, especially if you're more of a technical position like for programming?
I'm not a programmer.
That's you guys.
I missed that. Sorry. I was checking Twitter. Sorry.
I was wondering, how do you make your portfolio stand out for a technical field like programming?
Yeah. That's always a problem in programming. Same thing with like game design. Same thing is, how do you show what you did on a gigantic team that made like a really cool product? And the best way, they used to do a lot of like what do you call it, code snippets. I've worked in game programming for about 6 years now, and I don't think I've ever looked at someone's real code snippet. Usually I just want to see, okay, what kind of games have you worked on, what kind of games do you like, and then you come to the interview, we're just going to like talk to you, make sure you at least know some simple programming concepts, and then just get to know you. As for portfolio, just kind of show what games you worked on and like say what you worked on in the game. So then when you come in, we can ask you about like, oh, okay, how'd you do that obstacle avoidance, or how'd you figure out that AI system? It really just gives us things to talk to you about. It's not so much like how pretty your programming code looks or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest takeaway is like showcase what you've done in an interesting way. Maybe like tell a story about like what you did and how it improved, how it changed.
I think some of it is also have some fun. Because I actually got this job in Aristocrat as a technical artist. And obviously going through that whole process from being a visual artist to going to a technical artist, I've thought about how I might try and represent my resume, my portfolio. It's like, what did you do for a year? It's like, oh, I was porting games. It's like, that doesn't exactly stand out. It's like, I didn't actually do anything on this game. I just made it go from here to there. But looking at trying to create better tool sets, talking about, as I was learning how to deal with SVN, I was actually learning how to write, batch scripts to actually get me through that process.
Yeah.
It's like talking about those things that stands out, that you're not just doing the thing you're told to do, you're doing the thing to improve the process.
I think it helps too with LinkedIn. Now you can attach, videos and screenshots. So that's always nice. Go to someone's LinkedIn and like say, okay, they worked on this, and I can look at, what it was in the game, how it turned out.
Do they still do tests? like program tests and stuff?
Yeah. So do kind of like the first email is like a simple test. Make sure you know some of the basic stuff we're gonna ask you about. And after that, it's just kind of like just come in and we'll just talk to you.
Yeah, that was just my question.
Doug, you said you saw a question on Twitter?
Oh yeah, there was the one I liked about if you're not at one of these schools and you haven't like connected a lot of people, what do you do to network outside of that?
So I think a lot of, like IGDA is pretty big all across the country.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of groups like that, International Game Developers Association. There's tons of little meetups, little
I love
groups
the
like
Wagos Rancheros we have in Austin.
Wagos
Always.
Rancheros. Get on Facebook, look up these groups, like those sort of things. I don't know, is there like a...
There's an art one for Artella. That's a new website where people can learn to collaborate with other people in different film projects that they're in. So
you have Uni Connect now.
Yeah.
Use like I said, like if you're not in one of those big schools, like you should, if you're still looking for schooling, Animation Mentor, iAnimate. There's a lot of different like animation schools online that you can use to like actually get your basics down and meet people along the way. Because a lot of people who take those classes are in the industry and stuff. So
I mean, we talk about R76. There's a clan that we both play in, but it's all game developers in some facet, and it's kind of branched out. But I mean, sorry. Yeah, we actually we play Destiny in a clan together and a bunch of other games. But almost every single one of us in that clan are all game dev based. So I've met a lot of people through playing games that I like to play. You know, so
game makers play games.
Whenever we get some,
still technically work research, but
I think we have time for one more.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna let you pick it, Brian.
Let's go back here.
Brown shirt, brown shirt, brown shirt.
Make it good.
So I've been a graduate student in animation for the last 3 years, and I'm finishing up my graduate program, and had been having a kind of a tough time just applying for jobs. Just that whole shuffle of sending applications out every few weeks and nothing back. Do you have any advice for someone trying to apply for jobs or get those connections, just get their foot in the door?
What's the discipline?
I'm focusing on 3D animation and rigging. I'm going to Texas A&M, but they're kind of a generalist program.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I applied to different jobs just to get my first foot in the door. I don't know if this is good advice, but in my experience, I was in Puerto Rico. So when I was applying the jobs, I was still living in Puerto Rico because that's where I'm from. So I graduated from college and went back there. And a lot of times people would be like, oh, they would reply back and be like, we're actually looking for someone who's stateside. And I'd be like, motherfucker, I'm a U.S. citizen. So what I ended up doing is that I ended up just gathering some money and moved to San Francisco and stayed in my friend's kitchen floor for a few months when I was applying to stuff over there. And then I got a job in Austin and I moved over here. But in my experience, my thing was just moving somewhere that will make it more easy for you to be accessible to. You're going to Texas A&M, you're in Texas, you're good. That doesn't apply to you. But I think a lot of it just goes down to making sure that you write your cover letter and you go over it and you take your demo reel and it's okay for you to create demo reels specifically for certain companies. If you're applying to a VR company, you want to put over your motion graphic stuff and your motion capture stuff and put that there. But if you have more character based stuff, that might be better for an animation studio or another studio. I'm not really sure. But I mean, I remember when I was applying to different jobs, I would have different demo reels that I would be like, oh, this is a demo reel specifically for Platinum Games. This is a demo reel specifically for Telltale Games. This is a demo reel specifically for another game studio. And it's fine for you to just you just want to cater the stuff that you're putting out there for someone else to the people who will be looking at it. Yeah. And I feel like that will really help you stand out.
Yeah, keep at it and keep working on projects of your own.
What do you think about recruiters? Not recruiters. I guess they're recruiters. On LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn's a useful one too, because I kind of find it helps to have them come to you.
Yeah, I did. That's actually how I got my job at Aristocrat. Was through a company called Volt up in Dallas. they let me know that there was a job down here and asked me to apply. They're looking to make a paycheck just as much as we are, so they'll work for you too. It's a very useful resource, but again, something I didn't know going out of college either.
Yeah. But choose wisely with recruiters because some of them can be really pushy and some of them aren't, I guess, the top quality recruiters and people will ignore them.
Basically a salesman for your job.
Yeah. So that's what's one way to have someone, work for you to get you a job.
Yeah.
We're done. So
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming out. Sorry about the super long lines for RTX.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah,
Come to the animation festival.
Well, I'll be in the hallway if you guys want to ask questions. Maybe
Yeah,
some
same.
of you guys, if you have time.
Yeah.
All right.
You okay?